defensive end, Michael Wakefield, who played a little bit linebacker last year. What kind of adjustment do you have to make now that you're strictly on the D-line?
About to come off the ball more physically. Like a linebacker, you get to run around more and be able to be in the field and make more tackles. But defensive line, you have to put your hands on somebody every play and be ready for that physically mentality.
Well, last couple of days in camp, you've looked like a linebacker when you've gone into the backfield and batted down a couple of passes. Just missed an interception returned for a touchdown today. I guess it's not that big of an adjustment for you?
I mean, I played defensive end all my life in high school, so I mean, it's not that much of a big difference.
Tell me something. Going against this offensive line compared last year to this year, what's different for you guys as a defense? What do you see in this O-line from last year to this year?
I see they got more experience. Now I see they passing off like blocks better and they got better communication, and I see a lot of competition going on in between them. So I think that's making them better.
Thank you, Michael Wakefield. Thank you. Defensive coordinator Josh Conklin here. Coach, defensively, what's the difference between, obviously you guys haven't played any games yet, but what do you see different in this defense as opposed to last year's defense?
You bet. The biggest thing that we tried to address this year going into the spring was just really the linebacker run fits and trying to get everything tied in from a linebacker, a DB, and a D-line standpoint as far as just our overall run fits. And I thought, you know, the addition of Coach Harley coming in has been really good. We've gotten those guys to really buy into the philosophy of building the wall, getting downhill, being violent, being physical, aggressive to the line of scrimmage. And that was a major factor for us. I thought that we needed to get corrected and do a much better job of going into this fall.
You mentioned linebacker coach Rob Harley. He's got a little bit of a task because he's working with a unit that doesn't have much game experience. And then you're missing Isom and Greg, who are now playing on Sundays.
Right.
How do you see that linebacker core, and how do you make up for that lack of experience that you're going to have going into the season?
The encouraging thing, I think, is the competition that we've generated there. I really feel like we've got about 6 guys right now that are trying to earn a starting job. You know, we told our defense, and this is kind of at every position group, we want to have the starters, obviously, but we need 22 guys. We need a 2 deep at every position. Anything on top of that's going to be better. The amount of reps that we've got to take, on defense and the league that we play in, we need bodies. And so the competition has been good, and the young guys have responded to it's my turn to step up.
Now, obviously, Luis Rosado's probably got the most experience, but
Right.
He's never really played middle linebacker. Among those young linebackers, who has caught your eye, or who do you think has made somewhat of an impression after a week of camp?
Well, I think like you said, Luis Rosado has had a really good camp. I think Trayvon Williams has had a good camp, especially those Mike linebackers. We're putting a lot on them. Make the calls, make the front adjustments, make the blitz pressure calls. So there's a lot going on. Those 2 guys have stood out. When you look at the 2 young guys that have come in, Anthony Went and Fred Russ, both those guys have had a good camp. Mentally, they're not where they need to be yet, but they're making progress. And I think they're going to get there here before we get this whole thing going.
I noticed Josh Glanton's now on the D-line. Is that permanent, or is that just experimenting, or what's Josh?
That was a permanent move. We felt like we needed some depth at that position. He had a good spring, actually a really solid spring, and he's progressed well this fall camp, but he'll add to us some good depth at that position.
Obviously, the speed of a college game is a lot quicker than high school, but
Right.
Thus far in camp, some of the secondary freshmen in the secondary, I thought have made some pretty good plays, like Shamark Spence and Nico Gonzalez. Talk a little bit about those guys.
The nice thing about all those guys in the secondary, I think every one of them except maybe Bobby was at our camp when they were being recruited. So coming in, we knew a skill set that they had, and we kind of knew where to plug them into. We weren't guessing. We had a good idea as far as where we thought their skills would shine as freshmen, and I think that's what we're seeing showing up. They're not perfect by any stretch, but again, as we go into the season, I think they're 2 guys that have to have some reps for us, and they have to have playmaking ability for us at that position to give us some depth.
That's defensive coordinator Josh Conklin. We'll have more for you on FIUsports.com from training camp and everything else of FIU football.